for tuning in. We're finally back home, but Dan hasn't had the time to work on any new projects because of the rain. Happy New Year, by the way. So here's an old video of the C-10 before we sold it. Dan will be replacing the carburetor and intake manifold. Let's see how that goes. I think it looks cool. Hey Dan, run that intro.
Alright, so we got the engine running, we got the cam broken in, everything seems to be working well, so what are we going to do? We're going to pull the intake and the carb off because we're hot rodders, and when stuff works, we change it, and then it probably doesn't work after that. But that's what we do because we're hot rodders. So, I actually have an aftermarket intake and a 4-valve carb for this. Edelbrock, nice aluminum intake, and a Holley carb because I'm a Holley guy. So it's really going to dress the engine up. It's also going to give us a little bit more power than this little small carburetor excuse that's on there, and it's going to look a lot better too. I do have some other dress up items, so you're going to have to wait till the end for that. So we're going to go ahead and start taking everything apart, and we're going to get to showing you how to do that. Stay tuned. Okay, so I got the old intake off. I do still have the rags under here. I know you guys saw that and you're like, oh, I'm just test fitting everything. I actually realized I don't have a second intake manifold gasket set, so I have to go to the store and buy one. So what I figured I was going to do is go ahead and get everything mocked up and see if there's anything else I need. Since this is a Holley square bore carburetor and this is a spread bore manifold, I did get an adapter. So the adapter will go down like that, so I have the both gaskets for that. So that'll work nicely. This will go on there. I believe all these holes have already been tapped, and everything should be all set on it. Clean that off, so this is going to go up here. This will actually give us a little extra horsepower too, more than one. All the bolts are in here because I got this from an actual store. So we just got to see which holes we're going to use for mounting. I can already see that our fuel line is on the wrong side. Debating whether I'm going to use this fuel line, maybe just cut it here and put a rubber hose here with a inline filter, or I might take the whole thing off in case anybody needs an original style fuel line. Then I can give it to somebody. I'm probably going to sell that intake and manifold off the engine if somebody's doing a restoration or just wants an original setup. So I'll probably pull this off, and then I'll just run a braided line or a rubber line or something from down there up here. So it's kind of in the way for that. I'm sure all of the vent lines will line up and work out, but I really can't get this in here with this. So let me go ahead and pull this off. This top nut is a little messed up, but it'll still work for an original setup. So yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll pull this off the fuel pump. This line is going to have fuel in it, so go ahead and put this down there in the drain pan. We'll get to that later. And clean that off. Okay. Now, so as we were, so the carburetor is going to go on like that. So the carb will go into the outside holes on here. So I just want to double check how this is going to mount. I don't want to touch these gaskets with my gas hands, so we'll put these over here to be safe. So this does have the double screw holes, so this you can kind of mount it depending on which way you're going. It does have hex nuts, so you can put a nut and a stud up through here and then use a nut, or you can bolt it down this way. You can use it either way, so obviously we're going to use it the way it matches here. And then if I have studs, I do have 2 studs and 2 bolts. So either way, we have what we need to make it work. So let's just go ahead and put that there. We'll double check. So I got the big line here for this. So this will be able to go right back there where it was. I have that line back here. This does have the port on the back for a power brake booster, which is nice to know because that's going to be coming up soon too. So we got that. We got the one on the side here. Got the one for the primaries. Have to make sure we got one on the back here for the transmission. If not, I'll probably grab some extra rubber line. And then we're going to go back with this bracket here, and we'll get the linkage figured out. Not going to use a kick down, and then the fuel line here. So yeah, I think I just need a fuel line, a fuel filter, gasket set, and I gotta check and see if I have a rubber line. I probably do. This does have the electric choke. I don't know if I'll be hooking that up or not. This engine started up really well after I broke in the cam, so I might just leave that alone. If I need it, I'll use it. So I think that's it. I gotta see if I have a water outlet. I think I have one over here somewhere. So I may need a water outlet too, and I think that should be it. This has the same hose port for the lower hose, so that'll go around the front there, and I think everything else will work. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this up, go to the store, get some supplies, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I got the carb off, I got back from the store, I got a bunch of stuff. So I got some intake gaskets for this, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and spray these, brush these with high tack, and we're also going to spray brush. We're going to brush these and the heads with high tack, and then we'll let that set up, and then we'll go ahead and put the gaskets on. We're going to use silicone beads on the ends because that's what it recommends, and then we'll go ahead and get this bolted down, and then I got everything else that I painted that's going to go on top of it, and then we'll get to the carb. So alright, so that's all set. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes to get tacky. Then we'll go ahead and put the intake manifold gaskets on the sides. Oop, tripping through the holes. And then we'll go ahead and put the silicone on the ends. And we'll put this on with the new bolts I got for it. We'll put it on with these new intake bolts I got. They're 12-point intake bolts, just from Mr. Gasket. They were actually on sale, so I bought them. And we'll get them on with this, and then once everything is dry, all the stuff I painted, then we'll go ahead and put that on. But we can at least get this on and see how far else we get. See how far we get with everything else. Figured I'd show you guys my paint booth. So I just took a box, drilled holes for the bolts, locked everything else down, and gave it a couple of coats of paint. Real professional over here. Alright, while those are tacking up, I'm going to go ahead and put the beads on the ends. Looks good. Alright, and these go on with this little silicone bead up towards the manifold, so you definitely want to make sure you get those right. And I do want to give a little shout out to Advanced Auto Parts, my local one here. Nadia hooked me up. I had a bunch of Speed Perks coupons, so she let me kind of split everything up into different transactions so I could save money. So, and I used to work at Advanced Auto Parts too, so we like Advanced Auto Parts. It's good. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and drop it down. Good. We'll get those bolts. Be right back. Okay, so these are 12-point intake manifold bolts. They are from Mr. Gasket Company. So we're just going to go ahead and get all these started in here, and then you definitely want to make sure you're paying attention to your torque specs and your tightening sequence. We're not concerned with that right now. Just want to get them in, make sure this is in the right place, because this tack sealant is going to tack and seal it. So we want to make sure it's in the right place. So we'll go ahead and just get everything snugged down. Some of these I am going to have to pull them back up because I have to put brackets in or other things like that. So I'm not too concerned with torquing and sequencing right now. Torquing and sequencing. Sounds like a country band. Hey y'all, we're torquing and sequencing. Thanks for coming out tonight. Tip your bartender. These are nice because they do come with little washers, because you don't want to have dirty bolts. Wash them. Dad jokes are included. These are going to look a lot nicer than the original bolts, even if they're painted. Now, if you're going for an original look, you definitely want to probably stay with original bolts and do whatever the factory did. But if you're looking to dress up an engine, obviously if you're putting an intake and a carb on like I am, you want to dress it up a little bit. This kit was like $12 from Advance, so for 12 bucks to get these nice chromoly looking bolts, and the 12 point kind of dresses it up too. But just kind of something cheap and easy you can do that will dress up your engine and make it look nice. And that is the point of this truck, is to be dressed up and look nice. Alright, now we'll just go ahead and torque these down. I think it's like center, you do the X, and then you kind of go out to the next ones, and then out to the end ones. Usually go in steps like any torque, so just follow your torque sequences, and then you can clean up a little bit on the outside that squeezed out after you got this torqued down. And then we'll go ahead, I got to pull this off to put the port in for this. I got a new hole down for the distributor. I got a new gasket for the water outlet and a thermostat. And then we got the fuel line, we'll put the carburetor on and keep moving forward. So. Alright, so for the torque sequence, I just looked it up online, you can find it anywhere. So it's basically, like I said, you start with the middle, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It says do 30 foot-pounds, so start with 20 and do the sequence, and then do 30 and do the sequence a second time, and then you should be good to go. Alright, so now that the intake's all torqued down, like I said, I know I may have to take some of these off to put brackets on for the carburetor, but I'm going to go ahead and keep these valve covers on, even though I have replacements. I have nice new ones, but I'd rather put all this together and get it running, make sure everything is sealed and tight. And then once that's all done, and I know I don't have to be in here with tools or anything like that, then I'll go ahead and change over to the other valve covers and the air cleaner I got. And I got something cool for that air cleaner too, I'll show you at the end. Go ahead and drop this in. Here somewhere. So I'll go ahead and pop this off so you can see where my rotor's at. Now, if you didn't rotate your engine at all, even though I know this is not pointed at number 1 cylinder, I didn't bring this to top dead center because I'm not really getting into any of that operation. This is the only thing that matters, but since I pulled it out, I knew where it was. I took a picture and I kind of remembered, and you could tell you're in the right place because it went all the way down, so you know it's connecting to the oil pump and you know it's in the right place, so I shouldn't have any problems with this. So you see how the carb gasket holes line up, or rather don't. So if you're going to use both of them, you need to, I guess, just cut these a little bit so they don't overlap. And the ones on the bottom are the same way. So, all right, I like to use a little bit of sealant around the water outlet because these things are known for leaking. If you have one of those little round gaskets, you can use those. They work pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just put a little bit on that side, and I'm actually going to put a little bit on this side as well. That way it'll sandwich in. I'm not putting a whole lot on here, just kind of a little skim coat. And I'm putting a gasket on here as well, because nothing worse than putting your engine together and having it leak coolant all over everything. And I did paint this. I could go out and get a chrome one, but there's nothing else really chrome on this vehicle. I'm going with kind of the matte look. So I decided not to get that and just keep this kind of orange to kind of go along with the block. Besides, chrome ones are known for leaking also. Again, I got painted bolts, but I'm using silver washers on here, new washers, kind of offset it and help from scratching the paint on here once this goes on. And I did chase all these threads, so this should go on nice and easy. And if you're careful and gentle with your tools as you're putting them on, don't knock them around a whole bunch, then the paint should not come off if you put enough light coats on. I always try to do a lot of light coats of paint as opposed to heavy coats, because a lot of light coats will give you kind of better adhesion and last longer as well. Just kidding. That was a test to see if you were paying attention. And no, I am not running this without a thermostat. Forgot to put it in. So, hey, I'm human. Sometimes things get forgotten. So we're just going to pull this off real quick before it sets. And I got a 160 thermostat. I got a 180 in the Chevelle, but I don't think this is going to run that hot because it's a small block and it's just a step above stock cam. So I'm really not too concerned with it heating up that much. So 160 should be fine. Plus that's what they had on the shelf at the store. So here's the carb spacer. I know I showed you that it's got a spread bore on the manifold, and the carb is a Holley, so it's a square bore. These kind of always have confused me because of the, it's got a hex lock on this end, on that side, and then on the inside there, and you got the two different gaskets, and this one only has one hole, and this one has two holes, and so it's very confusing. But what I figured out is, so the spread bore is going to be on the bottom, so that's going to go down on the carburetor. No, that's going to go down on the manifold, and I'm going to use these to lock it down on the manifold with the inside holes. That way I'll be able to tighten this up and it won't get caught in that hex holding. What is going to get caught in the hex holding is these on the outside, so this will go in here, and then I'll lock it down this way, and then I could put the carburetor on here. So this way these will be kind of castled in there, and you can put the nut on, you'll be able to tighten it up, or I'll be able to tighten it up. So that's what I figured out. And then of course if you're putting on a quadrajet, you would utilize these in those outside holes for the back, wherever your back is. But little simplicity for something that was a little bit confusing. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually put these in, and I'm going to put the washer on it, and I'm going to put the nut on. So I'm going to lock all of these down, and then I'll go ahead and put the gasket on. Also, this way I realized when the gasket goes on for the spread bore, it's actually not going to be in the way like I thought it would be, because your bolt is up here, so that will go ahead and seal down on the intake. So it's not going to be a problem. Washer, sometimes there's not enough threads to get the nuts started because they're sunk down in there. This will pop up, it's got more in there, but because of the way it's in there, there may be something you can put in there that'll hold it up. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a screwdriver and kind of pick this up a couple of threads to where it needs to be, and then I'm going to hold the screwdriver against it. And then that should give me enough to go ahead and get this started. And then once this gets started, then I can go ahead and go the rest of the way, and that'll take up the slack. So some of them are up high enough that you can get to it. Some of them are not. So if it is, you can just get it started and go tighten it up, and it'll pull it up like this one is. Remember, any ports you're not using on the carburetor, you want to make sure you put these little caps on them, the vacuum ports, to make sure that you're not going to have vacuum leaks, because your car will not run right, or your truck. So this is the fuel line I got. It's from Mr. Gasket. It's just a standard 3/8 fuel line, but it is steel braided. So to dress it up a little bit, of course, nothing else will be steel braided on it, but it's fuel line, so it'll look nice. Here's a tip for you guys on these banjo fittings. If you've never worked with them before, they are actually adjustable. So you just loosen this nut. Sorry, I'm backwards. So you loosen it up, and then what you can do is you can move this wherever you want. So I'm going to bring it straight out. I think that'll work better. And then you just go ahead and tighten it back up. You can do it being backwards. And then as long as it's not leaking, it's tight enough. And then you can go ahead and adjust it to where it needs to be to make it work best for you. Alright guys, so I got everything together. Got the linkage on and everything, fuel line's all finished. I did have to tap the fitting for the kickdown, but I don't think the bracket's in the right place for it, so I'm going to leave that off right now. I don't think I need a kickdown because it's not going anywhere. I know the fuel bowls have to fill up, so that's probably going to be a lot. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to spray some starting fluid in and turn the key and see if it'll run after I reconnect the battery. Okay, so I can't find any good videos of after this job was done and I sold the truck, so this is pretty much all we got. This is a video I had found on my computer. You can hear it running a little bit. And that's pretty much all we have. The truck's gone, so this is it. Bye-bye, truck. Thanks for watching.
Well, that's it for this episode. You can leave comments below, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you get notifications when new videos are uploaded.
Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay positive, keep on wrenching. And then we're going to go ahead and start it up again, and hopefully she'll run great, and then we'll be there. And then that's it. And then. I shaved for this? Man. Hey Gearheads, thanks for tuning in. On this episode, like Ashley said, I'm going to take the intake and carburetor off. I'm going to put intake and carb back on. That's pretty much it. Man, this is... Maybe I didn't need a script writer. Does anybody out there write scripts? Please send a message or comment on this video. I know how to write scripts. You sound like an idiot. Alexa. Oh, you're not... Nothing. Sorry, forget it. Nope. Not a good place to put your tools, obviously. So I didn't really read the directions on this, so I'm just kind of putting it on. So if I'm doing this wrong, go ahead and put in a comment and correct me. Again, I am not a professional. I'm a professional amateur, if that's a thing. Kind of make stuff up as I go along, I think, like most hot rodders. I'm a hot rodder and I'm a guy. We don't like to read directions. We just like to think we know what we're doing until something doesn't work, and then we kind of correct it later. I mean, if you do everything right the first time, where's the fun in that? It is fun though. It's like, you know, Bob Ross painting. Happy little intake manifold.